An unidentified man referred to as Six wakes up in the middle of a desert. He is disoriented and clueless of where he is. Six is also unable to recall his real name and can only remember short flashes of his memories. As he looks around the desert, he hears the sound of gunshots and barking dogs, finding an elderly man being chased by armed guards. The elderly man locks eyes with Six, and he hurriedly carries him into a cave. Six asks the elderly man to tell him where he is, but only gets a vague reply. In his dying moments, the elderly man requests for his body to be hidden and to tell 554 that he got out. Despite his confusion, Six buries the body of the elderly man. Afterwards, he walks throughout the desert until he reaches a residential area. Six spots a taxi, asking the driver to bring him to a train station. The taxi driver, on the other hand, informs him that he only drives in local destinations. Six questions the driver as he finds his replies confusing. The driver then explains that they are in a place called the Village. Desperate for answers, Six jumps out of the moving taxi and enters a bar. He approaches a woman who asked him to dance instead of answering his questions. Six becomes alert at the sound of barking dogs and hurriedly leaves the bar. He runs back to the same taxi and learns about the driver, who identifies himself as 147. Unsure of what to do, Six asks the driver to take him to 554. Six is led to Solar Cafe, where a young woman called 554 works as a waitress. He tells 554 about his previous encounter with the elderly man, saying that the man wanted her to know that he got away. 554 says that the elderly man is 93, a drunk who used to come to the diner and talk about crazy things. Six asks why 93 wanted to find her, but she quickly dismisses him, refusing to get involved in any trouble. Just then, dogs show up, attempting to chase Six. Six exits to the back of the diner and goes to a rooftop nearby. At that moment, a mysterious man wearing a hat approaches Six and watches him as he falls from the rooftop. All of a sudden, Six gets bizarre visions of a street in New York City, including a dream of him being trapped. When he wakes up, he finds himself inside in a hospital called the Village Clinic. A doctor named 313 approaches Six, who he recognizes as the woman he met from the nightclub. 313 tells Six that she wants to help him get better. Before he is released from the clinic, Six is taken to the mysterious man named Two, the acting leader of the village. Six insists on speaking with the American consul to return to New York, but Two tells him that it is not possible because there is only the village. Two addresses him by the name Six, but he rejects the name. He becomes even more frustrated when he finds an ID paper in his pocket with the name Six. Later, Two informs Six that his body was found in the desert the same day that 93 was killed. He asks Six where 93's body is, but Six denies any knowledge of it. Six is later taken to his apartment with the label Six, which he finds similar to his apartment in New York. He walks around the village, observing his unusual surroundings. He is determined to find a way out, so he goes to buy a map of the village. After his brief encounter with 313, Six steals 147's cab and drives to the desert. When he reaches the desert, Six passes out and has another dream of himself back in New York. He is sitting alone in a diner when a woman approaches him and borrows his cell phone to make a call, claiming that hers was stolen. The two grow interested in each other, urging Six to invite the woman to his apartment, saying that he has just resigned from his job and wants to celebrate. The woman agrees to come with him, telling him that her name is Lucy. Later, 313 drives to the desert, where he finds Six passed out. She takes him to her car, bringing him back to the village. When Six wakes up, 313 asks who he was talking to while he was unconscious. 313 thinks that Six is suffering from delusions, saying that she wants to help him. Afterwards, Six rides a bus to 93's apartment to gather more information. He stumbles upon a drawing of the Big Ben in London and manages to keep it in his pocket right before Two arrives in the apartment with his son, 11 to 12. Two again asks Six where 93's body is hidden, but Six does not answer. Meanwhile, 147 and his wife, 21 to 16, receive a letter from Two requesting to meet them in the village clinic. 147 and 21 to 16 meet with Two, bringing a cherry cake. Two gives the couple medals for their services to the village, particularly in bringing the newcomer Six. He asks 147 about his impression of Six, as 21 to 16 gives the cherry cake to Two. Outside the Solar Cafe, Six goes to 554 and asks her for an explanation about the drawing. After seeing the Big Ben, 554 explains that 93 believes he had another life before the village and that the drawing came from it. Six takes 554 to his apartment, where the two further talk about 93. According to 554, 93 used to say that they were prisoners inside the village, but she did not believe him. 554 shows 6 her drawing the Statue of Liberty, claiming that she has recurring dreams about it. Sometime later, 2 is in his home at Palais 2, taking 3 pills from a cabinet and carrying it on a tray. He feeds the pills to his wife, who is seemingly asleep. His son, 11 to 12, barges in the room and asks 2 why 6 says that there is another place. 2 replies that life is not enough for people like 6. The next day, 6 interrupts a funeral held for 93. He tells the mourners that 93's body is not found and that there is another place outside the village. 6 goes straight to the cafe to meet 554 when the place suddenly explodes. On the brink of death, 554 tells 6 that 93 told her to follow the towers. 554 is taken to the clinic but dies shortly after. Distressed, 6 barges outside Palais 2 and shouts at the gates of 2's home, claiming that he is not a number but a free man. 6 returns to the desert trying to reach the towers, but is interrupted by a gigantic white inflatable balloon known as the Rover. Later, 6 is lying unconscious in the desert. He recalls another memory in New York, wherein he and Lucy head into his apartment. 6 reveals to Lucy that he was watching her use his phone earlier and that he knows she did not really call someone. He also tells Lucy that he used to work in Sumacor, a large data collection company. 6 resigned because he has grown tired of watching the living patterns of people and how too many of them are changing. Lucy asks him more about his work, making 6 suspicious. Eventually, Lucy reveals that she works for Sumacor as well. She tells 6 that he only thinks he resigned, but it is not over because the company still controls him. 6 wakes up to the sight of seagulls in the sky, which reminds him of a childhood memory with his brother Stephen. Just then, a man named 16 approaches 6 and drives him to the village clinic. There, 2 points out that 16 is his brother, but 6 quickly denies it. In response, 2 books therapy sessions for 6. 16 brings 6 to his house and introduces him to his family. 16's children express their joy in seeing their uncle, while 16's wife prepares 6 his favorite food. While the whole family enjoys an episode of Wonkers, the famous soap opera in the village, 6 quietly observes them. Later that day, 6 talks to 16, saying that his family is lovely. On the other hand, 6 still believes that none of it is real because he knows that his real brother is already dead. In Palais 2, 11 to 12 secretly watches his father too while he gives his wife more pills. Afterwards, 11 to 12 goes to their basement and stares at a toy, which according to 2, used to be his favorite. However, 11 to 12 is evidently bothered since he has no clear memory of the toy, and that he lacks childhood memories. In reply, 2 advises 11 to 12 not to doubt him because he is family. The following day, 6 goes to the session with his therapists, 70 and 70's alter ego from the shadows. 6 tells them about the seagulls he saw in the desert, sharing his realization that the village is actually close to the beach. As he leaves the clinic, 6 stumbles across 16, who reminds him that he has a job in the village. 16 encourages 6 to get back to work to distract himself from his dreams. 6 is welcomed back to his work as a bus tour driver, in which he gets to drive the residents around the village for sightseeing. While on duty, 6 catches one of the passengers, a woman with a winking eye, looking at him. As the tour bus reaches the desert, 6 notices an anchor in the sand. He concludes that the anchor must mean that there is an ocean nearby, but 16 dismisses him. 16 leads 6 to an old train station, making him remember that they used to play there when they were young. 6 admits that the place feels familiar despite his confusion. Next day, the tour bus stops by Palais 2, where 2 himself shows up and rides the bus. 2 announces that he came there to award 16 and his family a holiday trip to Escape Resort. After the tour, 6 takes 313 to the abandoned train station. He tells her that he feels connected to the place. 6 follows his intuition until he digs out an old box from the sand. Inside the box is a note that he once wrote when he was young. Seeing this, 313 is even more convinced that 6 is having delusions and that the village is actually real. 6 still believes that it is all a trick, but is starting to get confused. Later, the winking passenger approaches 6, claiming that she once heard the ocean in the desert. 147 drives them to the desert to look for the ocean, but fails to find it. 6 catches sight of a bus driving to the escape resort and is reminded of 16's invitation. Elsewhere, 2 is seen watching the 3 of them from a holographic screen. He grins, seeing 6 rushing to return to his so-called family. Around the same time, 16 and his family are waiting for 6 at the village bus station. Having missed the bus, the family decides on driving to the escape resort themselves. On their way, 6 gets threatening visions of him with 2, to which 16 helps him recover. At the resort, 6 apologizes to 16 and begins accepting him as his brother. However, 16 confesses that it really was just a facade and they really aren't brothers. The next day, 16 joins 6 and the winking passenger to search for the ocean in the desert. As they discover the ocean, 16 joyfully runs into the water. At that moment, Rover emerges from the ocean and approaches 16. 6 warns him to come back, but to no avail as 16 gets sucked into Rover. He goes to 16's family to inform them of his death, but they are all distracted by Wunkers. 6 grows frustrated and lets out his anger, just as workers from the clinic arrive and drag him out. Inside the clinic, 2 and 11 to 12 come across 6 in the hallway. 2 tells 6 that he has lost control of himself. Disoriented, 6 protests and struggles to remember his real name, but ends up claiming that he is 6. Sometime later, 2 assigns 6 to work with an undercover named 909 in a new job. They are tasked to search for dreamers, people like him who have visions of their other lives before they arrived at the village. 2 admits that he set it as a trap for 6, as he wonders if he can use this new job to his advantage. 6 and 909 begin to monitor a village history teacher named 1955. 6 heads to the village school and goes undercover as a surveillance teacher. While observing 1955's history class, he curiously asks who is number 1. A student named 1100 answers, saying that there's no number 1 because the idea of proceeding with 2 symbolizes humility. Throughout the day, 6 and 909 continue to monitor 1955's movements. They learn that 1955 likes swimming and eats alone in the Solar Cafe. Meanwhile, 313 distances herself from 6, believing that everyone who gets close to him gets in trouble. She joins a group of joggers, running by 1955's location. 909 observes the joggers, deducing that it is a good place for dreamers to distract themselves. 6 sees 313 running ahead of the group and starts suspecting her of being a dreamer. That night, 2 takes a black pill from his cabinet and feeds it to his wife. In effect, his wife, who is revealed to be M2, regains consciousness. M2 curiously asks her husband why he has awakened her, and 2 says that he wants to spend time with her every now and then. Just then, 2 hears a drilling sound nearby. He looks around his house and notices that a roach can has been set up in his garden. At the same time, 6 and 909 have placed a roach cam on 1955's house. While watching him from the roof, 909's phone rings. He asks 6 to fetch a coffee flash in his car, where 6 finds his surveillance log. Thus, 6 learns that 909's real task is to monitor him and 313, who are both suspected to be dreamers. 909's ringing phone awakens 1955. 1955 sees the roach cam and stares at it before cutting his own throat, urging 6 and 909 to drop him outside the village clinic. The next day, 6 goes to 313's house, where he discovers that a roach cam has also been installed on her roof. He then learns that the entire village is under surveillance using the roach cams. 6 secretly follows 909 inside a bar, where he unexpectedly discovers 909 having an affair with 2's son, 11 to 12. Just then, another memory is recalled by 6. Back in his New York apartment, Lucy tells 6 that she has read his reports and that she shares the same thoughts about what is happening at Summercore. Lucy adds that she has been hearing the name Curtis. She insists that they return to Summercore to further investigate, but 6 sends her out of the apartment. Later, 6 visits 1955 in the clinic to ask him where he can contact the other dreamers. 6 intends to find them so he can help 313 and get her to safety. 1955 replies that he is only a teacher, denying any further knowledge. 2 meets with 6 the next morning. 2 instructs 6 to spy on 909, who he now finds suspicious after sensing fear in his eyes. Meanwhile, 909 finds 11 to 12 waiting outside his house. 909 insists on ending his affair with 11 to 12 as he feels wary of his father. 11 to 12, however, refuses to break up with him. Unbeknownst to them, 6 is outside the house, watching. 6 barges into the house and finds 909 and 11 to 12 hugging. He then uses this information to blackmail 909 into helping him keep 313 safe. That same day, 2 tells 11 to 12 that he no longer trusts 909. 2 suggests putting 909 to therapy to dig the secrets out of him. As a result, 11 to 12 returns to 909's house with a knife. He tells 909 that 2 already knows about them. 909 consoles 11 to 12 and turns his back willingly, letting 11 to 12 stab him to death. Later, 6 goes back to 313's house, only to find her being dragged away by men in white suits. 6 goes to 909's house, but to his surprise, discovers that he has been killed. He then goes to the bar, where he finds 11 to 12 drinking. 6 demands 11 to 12 to help him find 313, threatening to tell 2 about what he did to 909. 11 to 12 says that 313 is taken down the tunnels, a dark place where dreamers are confined. 6 pretends to be 909 as 11 to 12 sends him to the tunnels. There, 6 stumbles across the student 1100 who helps him search for 313. 6 and 1100 reunite with 313, but while the 3 of them try to find their way out, they encounter Rover. Later, 6 wakes up in his apartment. He decides to get back to sleep, just as men in white suits hurriedly move out his door. In his garden, 2 meets with 1100, who turns out to be spying on 6 the entire time. 2 congratulates 1100 for her successful mission and treats her to ice cream. While eating, 1100 confesses that she was also spying on him. In response, 2 urges her to go to therapy after she finishes her ice cream. 6 has another vision of his life in New York. He calls Lucy's cell phone and hears a phone ringing nearby. When he comes out of his apartment, he sees Lucy unconscious in the hallway. Lucy feels disoriented and asks 6 to go into his apartment. On their way, however, Lucy pins 6 on the wall and kisses him. 6 apologizes for kicking her out of his apartment and eventually agrees to go to Sumacore. However, he and Lucy are unable to separate and they end up sleeping together instead. 6 wakes up, finding himself back in the village, where a woman from a dating agency calls 6 from his television. The woman, who claims to be from the Modern Love Bureau, says that it is time for him to be matched. 6 shows up in their appointment, but highly doubts that their blink match technology can tell who he should be with. To his surprise, the system matches him to a blind woman named 4 to 15, who looks exactly like Lucy. 6 knows that 4 to 15 is also a trap to interrupt him from finding out the truth. However, he finds himself quickly falling in love with her. Meanwhile, 2 meets 313 in the clinic. 2 knows that she is a dreamer, so he coerces her into betraying 6. For several consecutive nights, 6 and 4 to 15 are being brought in the clinic under the supervision of 2, while 313 administers injections on 6. Sometime later, 11 to 12 visits 313 in the clinic, showing her the pills being given to his mother. 11 to 12 wants to know the contents of each pill, so he asks 313 to determine it for him. After a while, she meets 11 to 12 in a bar and reveals the ingredients. According to 313, 1 pill is a sedative, the other is a hallucinogen, and the 3rd pill has no known contents. The next day, 6 and 313 visit 147 and his family. 147 shows them a large hole that emerged in his garden. After much thinking, 147 decides to inform the authorities about it. During their meal, the couples talk about the village's matching system. They become distracted, and no one notices the child 832 approaching the hole. 6 and 147 catch sight of 832 falling into the hole, just as the men in white suits arrive. Later, loudspeakers around the village warn everyone to be careful around the large holes, which they call Ambience anomalies. They encourage all homes to purchase a pig of their own, claiming that it prevents holes from forming in their houses. 6 confronts 2 in the clinic, requesting his help in bringing back 147's daughter, but 2 dismisses him. In the meantime, 832's disappearance has heavily affected 147's family. His wife, 21 to 16, blames 147 for his negligence in keeping watch of their daughter. In 6's apartment, 313 confesses her feelings to him while he is asleep. Shortly after, men from the clinic arrive and bring 6 back to the clinic. That night, 313 decides to inject a different syringe on him. 2 goes inside the room just as 6 awakens. It is then revealed that 6's love for 4 to 15 is manufactured. According to 2, 313 has been transplanting 4 to 15's genes into him, prompting him to fall for 4 to 15 immediately. Despite that, 6 still wants to marry 4 to 15, causing 313 to retreat out of jealousy. On 6 and 4 to 15's wedding day, 313 shows up at the church to tell him that his feelings for 4 to 15 will wear off because of the different injection. Everyone cheers in the arrival of 4 to 15 and gasps in shock when 313 kisses 6. 4 to 15 turns back and runs to the desert while 6 chases after her. Just then, Rover attacks 4 to 15, knocking her unconscious. When 4 to 15 wakes up, 6 notices that she is not really blind. 4 to 15 ends up admitting that she really is Lucy. She also reveals that 2 sent her into the village to love 6 and break his heart. 6 leaves her and goes to 147's house, where he finds him staring at the large hole. 147 wants to find his daughter, intending to jump, but 6 convinces him not to. As he leads 147 away from the hole, 4 to 15 shows up and jumps herself. In another vision, 6 is walking down the streets of New York to buy oranges for Lucy. While approaching his building, an explosion erupts in his apartment. 6 rushes to the building and searches for Lucy, but is pushed away by the authorities. Moments before, a cell phone message has been recorded by Lucy. In the recording, she calls 6 by his real name, Michael. Lucy tells Michael that no one really resigns from Summercore, but regardless, she advises him to stay away. Back in the village, 6 shouts in front of the palace 2, devastated at 4 to 15's disappearance. 6 urges 2 to come out and fight him, promising to make 2 pay for all the pain he caused. Meanwhile, another man who looks like 6 watches him from a distance. The following day, 6 goes to visit 313 in the clinic, still saddened by the loss of 4 to 15. 313 tells him that he was in her apartment last night, but 6 has no memory of it. He claims that he never went, making 313 angry enough to send him away. Eventually, 6 encounters his doppelganger and a fight ensues between them. The other 6 is revealed to be his alter ego, 2x6, who plans on killing 2. Around the same time, 2 speaks to his son 11 to 12 inside the village bar. 11 to 12 has grown frustrated, knowing that 2 always lies to him. When he asks 2 where the village really is, 2 replies that it is all inside the mind of his mother M2. He gives 11 to 12 the key to the medicine cabinet, letting him spend the day with her. Back at Palais 2, 11 to 12 feeds the black pill to M2 to wake her up and bond throughout the day. He wants M2 to tell him more about the other place, but M2 says that everything he needs is already in the village. 11 to 12 asks why she couldn't stay awake for long. M2 then reveals that she must be asleep all the time because the large holes appear whenever she is awake. 11 to 12 is heartbroken by their short time together. Nonetheless, he decides to put his mother back to sleep. In the meantime, 2 has left their home to take a break and stroll around the village. 6 approaches 2 to warn him about 2x6's plan. 2, on the other hand, says that he is on break as Untu, who knows nothing about killers. Later, Untu meets 313, asking her if she wants to see the other place. 313 refuses, but Untu insists that he will take her there whether she wishes it or not. Being a dreamer, 313 continues to see more visions of her other life. She seeks solace in 6, but later realizes that it is 2x6. Feeling confused, 313 runs until she reaches the desert. 313 finds a door with the logo of Summercore. As she enters, she sees fragments of her memories in a church and a girl. 313 panics at the sight and runs back to the desert. 2x6 heads to the village church and approaches Untu with a knife. There, Untu explains that he created the village because he wanted to get away from the cruelty of the real world. 6 arrives in time before 2x6 kills Untu and manages to convince 2x6 to become one with him again. At the Summercore building in New York, Michael goes to the purpose floor, where he finds a room full of monitors displaying the villagers. He also sees Lucy's recorded message playing on one monitor. Later, a woman enters, who Michael recognizes as the Winking Woman. He is informed that he has an appointment with Mr. Curtis, the leader of Summercore. While Michael is escorted to a car, he recognizes the driver as 147. On their way, the driver tells Michael that he used to be someone with anger issues until Mr. Curtis helped him. The next day, Untu resumes as 2, welcoming the enthusiastic newcomers with 11 to 12. 6 shows up and confronts 2 about a certificate of dying, which he received earlier in the clinic. 2 explains that his efforts in making 6 feel belonging in the village is being wasted. He is now making him choose between conforming to his current life or dying. 6, who is also Michael, becomes more aware of what is happening as events in New York and the village unfold simultaneously. In New York, Michael meets Curtis and his wife Helen, who turns out to be 2 and M2 in the village. Curtis explains that Helen is a biochemist and has been researching the unconscious. Since Helen is studying the depths of the mind, she was able to access another level of consciousness. Curtis uses his wife's study to develop a simulated world for broken people with a lost sense of purpose. These people can have access to an ideal society using their minds and can eventually repair themselves. This ideal world, named the Village, is then controlled by Helen and run by Curtis' alter ego in the simulation. Despite being childless in the real world, the couple was able to create their child, 11 to 12, in their minds, revealing that 11 to 12 does not exist in the real world. Moreover, the other villagers who were brought in come from Michael's surveillance work at Summercore. When Michael resigned, he was pulled into the village against his will and was given another identity as 6. In the village clinic, 6 is growing weaker with his death approaching. 2 torments 6, telling him the details of his funeral, while 313 overhears their conversation. Meanwhile, in Palettes 2, 11-12 no longer wants his mother to suffer. He decides to suffocate his mother to death before hanging himself in the bar. 2 returns home and finds out that both M2 and 11-12 are dead. Following M2's death in the village, more holes continue to emerge. Regardless, 2 sets up a funeral for 11-12 and the villagers gather together. 6 is able to attend as his sickness is suddenly gone. 2 makes an announcement to the villagers, telling them that 11-12 chose to kill himself because he felt that he was a prisoner. He adds that 6 was right all this time and that they can turn to him for answers. Through 147's lead, the people chant that 6 is the one who will save them all. Simultaneously, Curtis leads Michael to a church in New York. Michael meets 313 in the real world, a woman named Sarah who has suffered child abuse. Sarah is currently in trauma and is becoming deranged. Curtis intends to show Michael that there are people like Sarah who need to be in the village. Michael approaches Sarah and catches her right before she passes out. Both Michael and 6 are being forced to choose between destroying the village or taking over and proving what Curtis failed to do. As a result, 6 decides to replace 2 and becomes the new leader of the village. 313 sacrifices her life in the village to assume M2's role and close the large holes. She takes the pills and falls into 6's arms as she enters a dreamlike state. Shortly after, 2 bids farewell to 6 and puts a bomb in his mouth, making himself explode. In the real world, Michael becomes the new leader of Sumacor. Curtis and Helen, both free from the village, accept their life as it is and refuse to look back. In the end, 6 spends time in the desert with 313, who is now unresponsive. They stare at the horizon, convincing themselves that they can make a good village, despite being prisoners there for good.